Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey everyone, happy Thursday, happy almost October. So excited to be here and welcome to the Ghost Biker Garage. I'm your host, the Ghost Biker, and almost didn't make it back in time. Had to run some errands this evening and they had the roads closed there in front of my house. And so I had to get back, rush in. But I tell you what, I am so super excited tonight to for tonight's guest. I mean, it is going to be an absolutely fun show. Want to take care of just a little bit of business first before we get into that. Been doing kind of some whirlwind podcast interviews and such. So I want to thank all of you folks who have tuned in to the last couple podcasts that I myself have been a guest on, joined in the comments, and supported these great podcasters that and content creators that's had me on their show. Yesterday we're on Portal to the Paranormal from out of the UK, and then a very, very, very late show last night, or very early, depending on what end of the country you're on, with the Jess Rogie show at 2 a.m. And so we were on from 2 to 4 over here. I see Janet there. Yes, you were there last night, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for being a friendly face in the audience. And then, and then this morning I had to be at Mix 104.1 by 8:30 this morning. So we'll actually air that interview tomorrow, but that was live on My Mix TV. We're kicking off season 5. Extremely excited about it. And so any opportunity that I can get on there and do some talking about it, I'm always happy to do that. So just a few business reminders here. So this weekend was supposed to be the Ghost Biker Hogs and Haunts weekend in London, Kentucky. We were partnering with the London Laurel Tourism Commission, as well as Harley Davidson, Wildcat Harley Davidson up there. Unfortunately, due to to Hurricane Ian and his path of his trajectory, whatever you want to call it, it's supposed to go up right through that area. So, at the risk of the safety of the motorcyclists, as well as having a very, very good paranormal investigation, we wanted to make sure to we're rescheduling that. So thankfully we didn't have to cancel, but we are rescheduling that. We've already got the date set. Everybody was able to confirm and make that work with their calendar. So that's going to actually be October 14th, 15th, and 16th. So if you've already bought your tickets to the Levi Jackson Mountain Park paranormal investigation, those tickets are still good, and you don't have to re-register. If you've registered for the motorcycle ride, I know we had a sold out motorcycle ride. We also had a sold out cave tour. I think we've got, since the dates changed, we do have 2 or 3 tickets open for the cave tour. So the meet and greet at Wildcat Harley Davidson is going to be on Friday, October 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. There's going to be free food. We're going to have all kinds of entertainment and such, and we're not going to be premiering the new episode, but we might be, or the first episode, but we might be premiering another one. We'll have more information on that, but that's 6 to 8 on October 14th, and then on October 15th, the motorcycle ride at 9 a.m. in the morning, and then the investigation that's going to be from 8 until 1 a.m. So 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. We do have tickets for that. All the proceeds go to Laurel County, London, Laurel County Shop with a Cop, which is an amazing cause. It really helps, here in rural Appalachia. That's something that's really important to a lot of the kids here in the community. So all the $40 that we raised for that, each ticket price goes to support that good cause. And then on Saturday, we've got the Great Saltpeter Cave tours, and we have 25 tickets. I think we have, again, there may be a few people whose schedules don't mesh with the new one, but on October 16th there, that is a free tour. They only open the Great Saltpeter Caves up once a year, and they let thousands of people in on that day. So they're actually opening it special for us. So go to my page, ghostbikerexplorations.com, look under the events section and register for the event, or go to wildcatharley-davidson.com, go to their event section, and you can pull those up and register for your event. We do have separate registrations for each event just so we can keep a good head count, because we're trying to keep the numbers low and exact for that event. So disappointed that we had to change things, but excited for the reschedule, because we're actually going to be able to watch the Wildcat Battlefield reenactment from the motorcycle ride. They're going to be firing the cannons for us, all kinds of great stuff. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me or my friends there at Wildcat Harley-Davidson or the London Laurel Tourism Commission, and we'll get you set up for a very, very fun Ghost Biker event that's going to be going on, again, October 14th through the 16th. Couple other things. We've got new Ghost Biker shirts. Not very good at, I should have had one of those, but I had my stuff packed away for this weekend. We've got new Ghost Biker shirts. We're actually going to have new hoodies, and they're going to be this gray color. So the hoodies will be in next week. I know quite a few of you folks have put in orders for new Ghost Biker t-shirts. They're super soft and super cool designs. So those will actually be mailed out either tomorrow. They'll be mailed out for the first of next week, or we will get them in the mail the first part of the week. So just trying to get all those orders of those in before we do a mass shipment. So you can order that off the Ghost Biker Explorations website. Just go under the shop tab, put your order in. We've got every size available. And again, the new hoodies, they will be available starting next week. So very, very excited about that. And so I'm looking at the comments over here. Like I said, we mentioned, Hurricane Ian. We've got several folks in here who have family down there. My business partner, Dr. Chris Sumner, and then also, Nancy Weems. Like I said, you folks are down there. We appreciate you tuning in, Nancy, with got your generator going. Priorities, watching Ghost Biker. We appreciate that. But we have our thoughts and prayers are with everyone that's down there, and everyone that is also in the path as it comes up the East Coast. So thoughts and prayers from all of us to all of you there. Just going to say hello real quick to everyone before we bring tonight's guest on. We've got Janet here. Like I said, she was here last night. We've got Dr. Sumner, Jimmy Brown. Yes, I was a podcast guest whirlwind yesterday, and still trying to recover from that today on about an hour and a half sleep. Got Mr. Alan May here, and then, of course, Miss Nancy Weems. So if you guys have any questions for tonight's guest, we're going to be doing something extremely special. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him before I pull him on here. And, of course, I also want to say hello to Sandy Wolf. Thank you so much, Sandy. If you guys have followed Ghost Biker Explorations from the beginning, then you know my guest. He is one of my dear, dear friends, Mr. Josh Neyman. He is video content creator, videographer, an amazing musician, and just a wonderful, wonderful person. He's a producer. He helped me produce my first 2 seasons of Ghost Biker Explorations, followed me around with that camera to those different locations, and helped me put those episodes together that really essentially made Ghost Biker what it is today. So I'm so excited that he was able to take some time to spend with us this evening. We're going to actually be sharing what he's been working on. We're going to be talking about some of the projects that he and I have got coming up that's going to come out in 2023. And we're going to take a step back in time where it all began with the start of Ghost Biker, share some behind the scenes stuff, share some videos, and really just kind of do a deep dive in there. So if you guys have any questions, if you don't mind, please put those in all caps, just so as we're running through the videos and stuff, I don't miss you. And when we get to a break in the conversation, we'll pull your comments up and we'll, get to it. But I want to make sure I don't miss anyone. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on one of my best friends,
Hey
Mr.
guys,
Josh
how's it
Neyman.
going? Good to see
Hey.
everybody. Hey. No, I'm
Thanks,
glad we
Josh.
finally got to do this.
Yeah, I know we've been talking about this for a little while now, and, it's, the timing couldn't be more perfect.
Right. Yeah, right here before the new season's coming out and all that. Excited to
Yeah.
see what all you got for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Hey
most
Chris, how's it going?
So, and let's kind of talk a little bit about what you do yourself and how you and I kind of gotten involved in this journey. Because a lot of the folks, you kind of started out as that silent person behind the camera, making me look good and everything, and really became a fixture of the show. And so let's kind of talk about how you got started and kind of what you do, because a lot of people who watch here may not necessarily know about your other life.
My other life. Lord, it's at this point it's kind of like, dang, I mean, I've got so many different things going on that, I'm learning a lot of new things like home renovation and all that. That's been something that I've really tackled the last 2 years, and that's been a journey, but it's been fun. And yeah, um, I guess like, and of course, I've been working on new videos, music videos from. I feel like you can't really move forward until you like complete things that you wanted to complete in the past,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've done with the last 4 albums that we produced, and I just didn't have the ability to at that point to make the music videos the way I wanted to make them,
Mhm.
or even put them together the way I wanted to. A lot of cost that goes in with that kind of stuff, So and I mean, especially when you don't know how to edit at that point,
Yeah.
and in my career, I didn't know how to edit. And then, I mean, really learned all that, like the editing side of it as I was helping with Ghost Biker.
Yeah. I mean, so essentially, you started your music career fairly young, right?
Uh, 14, 15. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
way
so
back.
so these videos, so you've been a performing artist essentially for almost, almost the last 20 years almost, or
In a couple years, it will be. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so just to kind of recap, so you started your music career and have progressed over time. I mean, very inspirational music, amazing
Oh, thank
voice,
you,
great lyrics, write your own songs. And
thank you.
so you've been going back and trying to redo these videos, I guess, invent or
Yeah,
re-envision.
like a re-envision. Yeah, a re-envision is a good word because there's a there's a lot of footage that I never even released,
Mhm.
that I recorded when I was younger. And I pretty much what got me started on the project was that I found some footage that I hadn't released from like studio.
Mhm.
And I was like, ooh, I could, do something with this. And then it was just kind of like, you know what, why not? Like, I feel like this year is like my year of completing tasks, or the last 2 years really, or is my year of getting things done that I always wanted to get done.
Mhm.
And I feel like next year is going to be my year of new, like
Love it.
everything new, and a new journey, a new path, and a new season. That's a good way of putting it,
I
you know,
love that.
and and that's, I feel like, I don't know, it's probably the age thing too. So, I'm
Mhm.
34 now, 35, gosh. But, and I think it's an age thing where you're kind of like, you feel like you got unfinished business you got to get done, and,
Mhm.
and that's one reason why I tackled my grandmother's house when doing the renovation. and
Mhm.
all that. There was a lot that needed to be done there, and it's one of the things that's in the back of your mind, like, I need to get this done while you're out touring and everything. You're like away from,
Yeah,
home and all that. It's like you have all these things in the back of your mind, like, I need to finish. And,
exactly.
when the whole uh, COVID happened and all that, and we had like the downtime, that's when I really started
Mhm.
tackling that project.
Yeah.
And it's
And that's when things
almost
kinda
done.
changed. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
when things really kinda changed with Ghost
Yeah.
Biker because you and I, we were able to travel, we were able to, take the time to put the videos together, and then, of course, with the transition into with COVID, we kinda had to
Yeah.
revamp Ghost Biker and did more solo and, Dr. Sumner stepped in and helped with, filming and
Yeah.
I had learned a lot of video editing from you, so I stepped in and was doing my own editing,
Yeah,
and,
and it looks great.
well, thank you.
You're doing a great job with it. Like, I've watched all the episodes and all that, and I plan to watch this season. Everybody else better too.
Yeah, and
But
so it's great because, and I'm really excited to show a little bit of what you've been working on with the videos. So you've been releasing your music videos. How many did you have in total, and, and you've been releasing them every Wednesday, correct?
every Wednesday since the 1st of August,
Okay.
um, there are 9 videos in total. Um, and I've still got a few more videos I need to shoot that I plan to release, from our Worlds Apart, the Neymans
Mhm,
Worlds Apart album. And I'm hoping to do that soon. Destiny had her baby,
mhm.
and that took us off the road for a little bit. Well, COVID took us off the road, then life happened, babies happened, and all that. So, hopefully, we're going to be returning. That's another part of like the 2023 thing is, new beginnings, new seasons. It's a new
Mhm.
season to return to the music, where
Yeah.
we're going to be doing new stuff and projects that we'll talk about
Yeah.
later.
Yes.
Um, but things like that, for
Yeah,
sure.
so if you're cool with it, I'd love to show your most recent video release that you actually just released yesterday. And,
Okay.
why don't you set that up briefly before while I'm in the process of pulling that up, why don't you kinda set that video up?
You mean talk about it? Like,
Yeah, just
oh,
kinda talk
okay.
it's Embrace.
Yes, yeah. So Embrace, so my cousin Destiny, uh, the woman that sings with me, I refer to her as a kid because she's 12 years younger than me. And she's my cousin, but she's really more of like a sister. And now LaCorey will tours with us and everything, but this is like before LaCorey joined us. And Destiny was young. This is her first album that she did was Embrace, and this is the first time that she's always been in the background. Uh, when I had other people touring with me, she'd go along with me, and then music just runs in our family. So she would get caught singing, and it'd be like, there's something here. She's really got a gift and a talent and a voice. And so it was like, I think we started having her open for us.
Mhm.
And then it was eventually, I think it's time for you to come on the road, full time and make this a career. And she did, and we recorded this first album, and this is actually the first song that is on that album. And this is, her learning the ropes and all that kind of stuff, So it's sentimental, and just to see the progression of where she has come
Mhm.
since that first album until now, it's just it just awes you, of what God can
Yeah.
do and all that, in somebody's life.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull that up, and we're gonna check out the new video that you just released yesterday as part of the multi video series that you're releasing of all your older stuff. So here we go. Let me get that pulled up.
When you live life on the stage and you're giving it your all, when you're tired of everything and you still can't beat the cost, just hold on a little longer. The battle will soon be won. When you're lost in much confusion, you think you've lost your touch. When you go through much rejection, you feel you're not enough. Just hold on a little longer. The trials will soon be gone. they'll be gone. Things don't always come my way. Lord, help me to stay in your warm embrace through all of my days. In all of your ways, the winds may blow, the seas may roll, but there's one thing I know is that you're still in control through all of my days. In all of your ways, Lord, help me to stay. Lord, help me to stay. Lord, help me to stay in your warm embrace.
All
Goodness, I
right.
look at that and I see that baby face, that chunky face I had then.
Well, it's like Chris says over here, everyone needs to check out the Neymans, and,
Oh, thanks,
is that where
Chris.
they can purchase, music and such as well?
Yeah, the link to the website's on there as well, and it's the Neymansofficial.com, and you can go there and purchase music, see where we're going to be next. We don't have anything this year, guys, but 2023 we will have a schedule up there, and we're really looking forward to what the future holds.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of, big stuff. How many more videos do you have to release?
I've got one more on these nine, and then
Okay.
I've got I've got about two more that I really want to shoot, and they're with the Nymans. And
Okay.
then there's a few live performances that we had on one of our CDs that we had a DVD with that I'm going to release as well. But
Okay.
and then we're going to start working on the new stuff. Well, we're working on the new stuff, but really start focusing in on it.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite song and video that you guys have that, it's from your
The No
last album,
Regrets.
the No Regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you guys like three-part harmony, um, I mean, you and Corey and Destiny, you nail it. I mean, it's just
Oh, thank
it's
you.
beautiful and, it's very touching, so,
Oh,
so definitely I mean, we're gonna move on to, some Ghost Biker stuff here in a second, but, definitely go check out the Nymans Official. You've got and I've got the information in the show notes here under the Facebook page as well as, your actual website. So, if you
awesome.
like good inspirational music, you definitely need to go and check out Josh with the Nymans and some of his older music as well. And then a lot of your blogs and stuff. You've done
Yeah.
a lot of travel vlogs and a lot of other. I mean, you've done some production videos for other music artists and such.
Hmm.
Just an amazing talent with this.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
and so, kinda like what we talked about, kind of the way everything sort of started with us,
Yeah.
as a lot of folks have heard, if they've heard me talk on other podcasts, they've heard me talk about how, I started in the paranormal, and Josh was very instrumental with getting Ghost Biker going the way it was because he got to hear me every day kind of talk about these ideas of, what I wanted to do with this brand for Ghost Biker. And so, I can't think of a better partnership. And, he was originally set up to kind of help me just sort of film the shots that was a little bit harder to film, doing the intro, doing the motorcycle shots, and really kind of setting me up for success, I guess. And it really kind of ended up morphing and turning into much more.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. It was always just to be like an episode and helping you find the runs. But what a lot of people don't know is how our journey really began together was that
Mhm.
guys, I worked for her. She was my boss. No joke. Like, we worked for this photography company
Mhm.
and she was my boss. And you're kind of intimidated by your boss at first, and everything, but then you realize that she's a cool biker chick that rides a Harley to work and carries a gun, and has a great sense of humor. So we kicked it off well. I mean, actually, we didn't kick it off. I don't know if we need to go into all that, but no, we had a rough start. Let's just put it that way. We bumped some heads, and then realized that we had more common ground than we thought, and become great friends. She's one of my best friends,
Wow.
really. And it's crazy because you don't find a lot of people. And I was actually just talking to Corey about this the other day. You don't find a lot of people in your life that feel like they've always been, or that they're going to always be your friend, and that they feel more like family. That's a rare thing to find, and someone that you trust. And Miranda is definitely,
Oh,
is that for me. And I know that I can call her anytime. And I hope she knows, she can do the same. Uh,
absolutely.
but she's definitely. But one thing that we have in common is we're both graphic designers. We
Mhm.
both are very artsy, and I think that's what made Ghost Biker what it is. We fed off in the
Mhm.
workplace. We fed off each other well,
Yeah.
and even carrying that into Ghost Biker, we fed off each other really well, and was able to like be creative because I could say something, and be like, "Oh, what if we do this and this?" And she could expand on it and make it be like
Mhm.
even more than what I was envisioning, or vice versa. We could
Mhm.
really work well that way together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were even to the point we were dressing alike. Uh,
We have so many photos on social media where we were like, yeah, and we wouldn't even try. Like, I'm surprised we're not dressed alike right now.
if I hadn't got caught in traffic trying to get back, we probably would've.
Probably.
But,
Yeah.
it was interesting because in coming up with the branding of it and, like you said, really kind of learning as far as how to put a season together and a series
Yeah.
together. That's something that we kinda learned on the fly, but we essentially kept the whole thing secret, as we were
We
doing it. Yeah, everything from the filming of what we were doing to, because I 'cause I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't sure after we had done, some of the investigations and going through, I was so camera shy. I wasn't really sure, if I was gonna 100% go through with it?
Yeah. Well, I remember you telling me. I remember you being like, we'll film the first.
Mhm.
Well, it was more of like, let's film this, and I think we were talking about the mausoleum,
Mhm.
and it was like that was really what we were going to film,
Yeah.
and it was going to be more of me kind of helping you to kind of get the ropes, I guess, of it,
Yeah.
if you want to put it that way, because I'd already done my blogs and things like
Mhm.
that, and that was really the style that we're kind of trying to go for, and
Mhm.
it was more getting you like learning the software, Final Cut in order to be able to edit and different things like that.
Mhm.
And then I remember you saying, "We'll try it, and if we don't like it or whatever, then I won't release it." So it
Yeah.
was more like that, and then it evolved
It did
into
because it's easy to, I mean, you know me, I don't like to, if a project is coming up, I don't like to talk about it until, because 'cause I'm always
me
a
either.
believer that it's not set in stone, even when it's set in stone.
Yeah, and if
It's
you
not set
talk
in
about it
stone.
beforehand, then you're obligated to do it. you
Exactly.
know? Yeah. But no, I mean, after the first episode, and when we started filming the story and all that, we knew we had something. It
Yeah.
was we knew we had something special, and we're like, well, we can go and we can film this other,
Mhm.
and really, we started shaping it at that point, and we knew that it was going to be something bigger than what we had planned by the
Mhm.
events that took place.
Mhm.
And what's crazy is we went and filmed The Monk, which is
Mhm.
episode 2,
Mhm.
and it was at the house. I don't want to get into that just yet because we're going to get there, but it's crazy that things that weren't even going to be a part of the season left the house. It was
Yeah.
just the only reason why we went to the house is because that tub was there. You
Mhm.
know, and then it's like all this stuff starts happening upstairs, and it's like, what the heck? Like, is the place haunted too? Like, and then was like, okay, well, yeah, it's definitely haunted. So it turned into more. And
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, like, of course, I'm a believer in God and all that, and I believe that God has a purpose for everything, even if it's ghosts, and that's probably gonna, But I mean, God has a reason for everything, and we're where we are today because of
Mhm.
what Ghost Biker has done in both our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, most
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, um, it's interesting because so when we were sitting down and doing the planning of all this, we really decided, I mean, because there's locations everywhere and, especially some of the larger, more commercial locations, but, you shared that same vision that I do that, it's highlighting these lesser locations, lesser
yeah.
known.
The stories that
Um,
are the local stories that people
yeah.
in the communities know about, but the world don't know.
Mhm. And really even some of the people in the communities don't know the deeper story. I mean, I
That's
can't tell
true.
you how many people came up to me after we did the Bleeding Mausoleum and was like, "I really didn't know what was going on or what that building was about and what was
Yeah,
going on with the story behind it." Some of them that have done the ghost walks and stuff in the area, they maybe know about that, but, we really sat down and planned that we were gonna cover that. We were gonna cover the monk. There was a
speaking of
couple other
which,
we were gonna cover, but the house ended up taking up a little bit more real estate than we had intended,
yeah, but
but,
I'm not mad at it.
no, no, me neither. Me either. It's interesting how it kinda shaped itself out, and so we did determine that it was like, we'll keep it local because there is so many interesting stories just here in the Cleveland and Chattanooga area that I mean, I could probably honestly do a whole 5 seasons just on what we
Yeah,
have here in Cleveland, Chattanooga, the surrounding county areas. There's just so much.
yeah,
And, you kinda pick and choose, and then you carry that on to the next season. But, yeah, I mean, it was really neat how that ended up working out. We do have a question over here. Chris says, "What was the most challenging learning curve when you guys first started filming Ghost Biker?"
um, I think it was finding our formula for when we were doing the story,
Mhm,
because the challenge of having to get a certain, like, the lighting, we love the golden hour. I mean, you can
mhm.
tell, right?
Yeah.
Y'all can see it in, like, all those episodes that we love to film in the golden hour, and that's challenging because of the fact that you have a certain window,
Mhm.
that you have to film all those talking parts within, and we were just talking about that, with
Yeah.
having to be, doing that, and, uh sorry, there's a kid next door. You're probably hearing screaming. He's getting a whooping. Y'all, I'm sorry. So if you hear him screaming bloody murder and you hear her screaming back, it's
Your
the
neighbors.
neighbors. Yeah.
Well, and then too, I'm just gonna kinda pile on that, not only having the golden hour and having to, film in that limited amount of time, you have so someone like myself who's, inexperienced in front of the camera and, you know, trying to get those lines right, trying to get the lighting right, trying to get everything right to make sure that we hit it all right within that. Because I mean, we had roughly, I mean, if you want good lighting on those golden hour shots, I mean, you roughly have 20, maybe 35 minutes max, depending
Right.
on the time of year, and where you're
Right.
filming.
And there's so much that goes into that part of the scene. I mean, with the investigation, we can be completely raw with it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We don't have to worry, okay, there's a bird in the background screaming,
Mhm.
or whatever. Like, we want it to be authentic. But when you're telling the story, it's like you have to have the audio in order to be able to hear what the story's about. And you don't want too many distractions because you're trying to focus in on that story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like the crickets, different things like that. There were a lot of different challenges. And I think the first episode, when we were learning our formula, of
Mhm.
how to do it, like we started in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Remember that? We started in my old apartment in the kitchen, and it was just like camera on a tripod,
Yep.
and we're having to read cue cards, different things like that. We're
Mhm.
trying to find our formula,
Mhm.
but and then I was like, okay, well, this isn't really working. Let's, and then
It
we went
wasn't
out to
dynamic enough. I
right.
mean, because we had already filmed the investigation, and
Hmm.
you've got this great intro, and it's got this momentum and speed picking up, and then you've got the investigation, which was simple, but it was a simple, effective investigation,
Yeah,
and then you've got this person sitting in a chair in the kitchen. Like, it's almost like it really sort of it kinda stagnated things a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when I'm filming, I try to keep in mind, and this is something that I learned along the way, is you want progression. You want the audience to feel movement. So as you're walking toward the camera, they're feeling as if the story is moving and evolving.
Mhm.
And whereas I have nothing against people that sit in an area,
No,
or
no.
whatever, but it wasn't us. That
Right.
wasn't what we felt was right for the show. We like so like you said, the investigation, and we had already filmed the investigation, so we knew
Mhm.
how intense things were getting with it.
Mhm.
And like you said, yeah, it just didn't match. So when we went to Centenary,
Mhm.
which is just a little few blocks over, and filmed there and had the walking scene. But then we got back and the audio was bad, remember? And
Yes.
we had to go
That was
back
a
and
constant problem, was that
right,
we were getting this
the
weird
popping.
popping with the
Oh,
audio, and so since we record our audio separate from the, video, it's
mhm,
like it messes up when you go to sync your audio
right.
with your vocals with your video.
Exactly. So when it pops, it adds like this little gap or something into the audio, and then it throws off your lips
Mhm.
from that point on in the audio on the video. So you constantly have to match it. And then you
And I
have
just
that
wanna say,
pop.
we're talking about the story because I just wanna
Yeah.
add that because the story was something we wanted to be super polished. The
Right, right.
investigation, it needed to be raw. There was
Exactly.
no
Raw.
editing on that other than adding captions for the EVPs, and there
Right.
was no editing to the video because
Right.
we wanted to keep it raw. So I just wanna make sure to add
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. No, exactly, exactly, and yeah, that's like uh, you don't want the distractions in the video part or the story part, because the story is what when you're thinking about a story, like you want to be glued in, and if you have like something going on in the background, it's going to distract you, and you're not going to hear what was said, at that point.
Mhm.
So yeah, behind the
Yes.
scenes.
So a couple more questions and then we'll get to a little bit of fun video. Janet says, "At what point during your time together did you officially start believing in ghosts, and do you consider yourself an investigator?"
Okay, I'm not an investigator. Okay, and I mean, okay, so I've had some past experiences in my past where I know that there's good, evil, and there's ghosts. Okay,
Mhm.
so I knew, but I didn't expect them to play with me as much, or I didn't expect like I was like, okay, I'll be the cameraman, and Miranda can do her thing, and I'm over here, and here's my bubble, But no, it didn't happen that way. So, no, I went into it. I knew that, you know, because Miranda, she was with a team before we
Mhm.
we did the Ghost Biker,
Mhm.
and she would listen to a lot of their audio and
Mhm.
be able to go in there and say, okay, I heard this at this time stamp.
Yeah, and I would use you to be like, sorta not necessarily validate, but to be like, "Hey, can you
Yeah,
hear this? Because if you could hear it, then it's like, okay, because I always like to have other people listen to see if they either hear the same thing or hear it, to see if it's, because if you don't hear it, what's the point of putting it out just because I
Yeah.
hear it? Yeah.
Well, there'd be a lot of times you'd come in there and you'd be like, "I'm not gonna tell you what I think they're saying,
Mhm.
but what do you hear?" You know? And, like, I would most of the time I'd be like, "Yes, I hear this," or I'd say this, and you'd
Mhm.
be like, "That's what I thought. That's what I thought I was
Mhm.
hearing." So, I could see that she was passionate about the paranormal then, and she was with this team, and she was putting a lot of hours, okay, guys? She's putting I mean, they were a good team. Don't get
Mhm.
me wrong, nothing like that. Not talking bad about anybody by no means because, they had a good time, but Miranda would spend a lot of time working on their stuff, and yet she'd tell me about, her going on these bike rides, these beautiful places, and, she'd take all these pictures for Instagram, and it's like, "Where's the video?" It's like, take video, and really, we started talking that way, and it's like, "Miranda, you have something here," Like, she would go investigating when she'd be up at with her dad and
Mhm.
stuff like that, she'd go out here to these places alone sometimes and investigate, and I was like, people would love to see that kind of stuff. Like, they would love to see what you do, when it comes to like, I mean, we see it in the pictures, but it's like
Mhm.
you want to see that footage, especially in the time that we're living in right now, where everything is very, we have TikTok, we have
Yeah.
all these different, video oriented sites, and
Mhm.
you know, yeah,
Well, and what was interesting to kinda tag on to Janet's question and, your comment there is that we essentially again, Josh was just kinda, let's skip ahead to when we decided to do the season with it. Um, he was just gonna be just kind of a quiet figure behind the camera, but the spirits really, I don't know, he's kinda like my little trigger object, so I don't know if it was because they liked his energy or if because they kinda like messing with him,
they
but
like messing with me, that's for
yeah,
sure.
when when things would happen, like when the rods would move or the flashlight would go off or, it's kinda like anybody else whenever you have your first paranormal activity. I'll
Mhm.
never forget when I was on my first investigation and the, flashlights went off or I heard my first disembodied voice. I had no explanation for it, and um, it's almost like a nauseous feeling, but it's also kind of like a, "Oh my gosh, this is kinda wild." And so, I want more. Well, it was kind of that same situation. We would be doing the investigation, something would happen, and it's kinda hard to hold in the
Not react.
yeah, and so you reacted a
Yeah,
couple times, and of course, because it's not a stage thing, when the stuff happens and you react, you can't go retake it, you
right,
can't do a
right.
retake, and so, I remember you apologizing to me and being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that," and it's like, "No, I like that, I like keeping that in because it's real, and then it's also one of those situations where, I mean, it's very genuine, and I think that it does create that, just another character, if you will. It
Yeah,
brings you into the investigation rather than just, being
yeah.
behind the camera.
I
And
mean, go
oh,
ahead,
I was just
sorry.
going to
No, you
ask,
go.
uh, do you at this point, the other part of Janet's question, do you consider yourself an investigator at this point?
Um, Miranda's Batman and I'm Robin, guys, okay? Like, I am
I would
still
consider
very new to all of that. So I don't really I mean, I don't consider myself an investigator, I don't guess. I mean,
I think I
I
would call
well,
you a documenter,
a documenter. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
you
Yeah,
know?
I would say I mean, I'm not going out by myself looking for ghosts
Well,
without Miranda, so
well, but you did do, on the later investigations there in season 2, you did ask some questions, especially when we were doing our collaboration with Soul Sisters Paranormal,
yeah,
and when we were doing stuff with the house as that progressed, or
yeah.
with, the funeral home. You were kind of asking some questions and kind of taking on, the investigator. Chris asks, she says, were you a believer and this kind of tags on what you had said. Were you a believer in the paranormal before you started with GBE?
I definitely, yes. I mean, yeah, I believed in ghosts before then, but I think I came to realize a lot more of like I believed in ghosts because of things that happened in my when I was a kid. There
Mhm.
were some things that happened that made me really know,
Mhm.
but um, through Ghost Biker and also hearing the clips that you got, there were some clips that you got at a hospital
Oh,
and you
yeah.
hear that doctor talking and,
Yes.
and all that. That was crazy.
I
So,
need
I
to
mean,
release some of that past footage.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But hearing a lot of her stuff and when she brings me a recorder and it's just a recorder, like, and she rewinds it back. She has her notebook where she has it all written out where she's found stuff and everything, and she'll rewind it back and be oh, I think I missed it, and then she'll have to go back to it and everything like that, and then plays it. Like there
Yeah,
is
it's raw.
it's raw. It's right there from straight from the recorder. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And she just gets back like the next day from it. Like she ain't had no time. Like we were talking yesterday on the phone or whatever, and she's back. She ain't had no time to go in and doctor some stuff like that. Like you see that it's real. And then when you are actually videoing this stuff and you're actually at these locations and you're hearing it, like you're not hearing it through a recorder afterwards. Like, I mean, you're hearing it in the moment, like,
Mhm.
and you're like it shocks you. You're like, did you just hear that? And she's like, whoa, I heard that.
And that's an interesting position that you're in as essentially, as we just said, the documenter or the videographer, because
Yeah.
it's, when you're a two-person team going to a location and trying to put it out there essentially like a big production studio would do,
Hmm.
you're wearing many hats and you're having to do a lot of different things and work at things in this challenging situation. And so we don't know what's going to happen. Your job is to essentially document what we're doing with this. And so you've got to be in some of these uncomfortable situations,
Excuse me.
some of
Right.
these creepy places, and then be able to try to capture what I'm doing, capture me, but then also capture what's going on. I mean, that's a lot to do, and
Yeah.
you know,
It's
a different role to be in.
right, right. Well, I mean, there's the audio. We pretty much did the lapel or
Mhm.
the recorder,
Mhm.
and it was more about the lighting and the
Mhm.
videography part of it, and just following you like on the journey. Like we, when approaching it from like the video side of things, I really wanted people to feel that they were there with you,
Mhm.
and on this journey with you, and it was just going to be a silent role, but things happen and you can't help but react. And but like when you and I talked about it, you said that's what makes it authentic and relatable.
Mhm.
So yeah. But to answer the question, yes, I believed in ghosts. Do I consider myself an investigator? Uh, I wouldn't call myself an investigator. I'm a documenter, documenter, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I am actually gonna let's see if I can pull some of this up without uh sound and kind of get a few things playing while we're kind of talking here. Um you know let's just kind of dive into that first season.
Yeah.
So essentially, um we were, let's see, I'm gonna kind of skip ahead a little bit here. um so like I said, bear with me.
You're
uh
good.
yeah,
There's no
so I
golden
mean,
hour.
that's right. I mean, just getting that to what we wanted, because again, we went through the filming at your house, we went through the
Hmm.
filming there at Centenary, and it actually kind of got a little too dark on us. And
Yeah,
then going in and and the very next time the audio was bad.
yeah,
And then after that, we finally got it this one. So I knew my lines at that point.
yeah. You knew him well. Well, that's the thing. I mean, Miranda. She hadn't done a lot of that kind of work. With
Mm-mm.
speaking and everything like that. But she definitely became a pro at the end of filming as many times as we did with that scene. But you know what? It's a good thing that it happened that way, because it did make her feel comfortable with it, because she did know her lines, at that point, and it set the tone of what the show is today,
Mhm.
really.
Absolutely, and I found that, you know, that you helped me really build that confidence in being able to do this, because again, if anybody knew me 5 years prior, I was so backwards and so, shy and introverted. I mean, I could speak for work if I needed to, but, social anxiety, I mean, just, very, very challenging, and so, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this, and I mean, I wanted to do it, but I wasn't sure about being out there and in front and talking. I'm one of those people, I don't like to hear my voice on the answer machine, you know? And
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
but I remember you telling me, you were saying, "I'm not gonna make you look bad, or I'm not gonna let
Yeah.
you look bad."
No, it definitely
And
wouldn't.
yeah, and so it's like, have that confidence and, be able to, just put the trust in you that it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna make you look good with this, you're gonna sound good, you just need to have the confidence to do your part in it with telling the story." The investigation was no big deal,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
it was this part that was always a challenge, but this part is actually now truly one of my favorite parts, because the investigation is great. It's unexpected. You don't know what's gonna happen, but you do have that sense of control with the story because you know what you wanna say.
Yeah.
And it's really going in and having the opportunity to be able to share that story that makes that my favorite part.
Yeah. Well, no one looks at themselves and, you gotta think, like, if you was to go in, like, how can I put this? If someone goes in and they are so cocky that they just think they have it together, and they, like, no one wants to watch that.
Mhm.
But when you have someone that is humble and they don't know how great they are, and you have an outsider being able to see that potential within someone, like, it was always there in you. I just, I guess I was able to kind of, you were comfortable with me,
Yeah.
which made you be able to be more comfortable, like, because you knew that I wasn't just going to be like, I'm just going to put it out there type
Mhm.
thing. It was like you were able to get your confidence because you knew that, the footage ain't going nowhere until
Yeah.
like, I ain't gonna, I'm not gonna make you look bad at all, type thing. So, yeah, no, but I was able to see that who you are now and who you are presenting yourself at is now is what you always were. You just didn't know it.
Mhm. Well, and 2, I mean, like I said, just being able to share that story and, put it out there where other people can hear this history and these interesting
Yeah,
stories. That, and again, just seeing it and knowing that I could do it at that point made it easy after that. Because again, the investigation, I mean, that's the easy part. Either it happens or it doesn't, you
right,
know?
right.
And you just have to be okay with that if the investigation part doesn't happen. But taking the time and doing the research to find, all of this information, and then going and reviewing all the evidence and everything. Um, I like I said, this was an interesting project here because we started on this what of March of 2018,
Yeah,
and
yeah. And we didn't release it until October, so we had to keep it a secret, for that long. And I don't think people really understand how much time goes into something. I mean, the investigation, for example, that of course that happens like within a few hours or whatever, and in one night.
Mhm.
But having to go in and you got to listen to it to
Yeah.
see what you caught, like, or, oh, when we heard blah 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 blah, we know that that's there. We got to make sure that that part's shown.
Mhm.
I mean, if we showed the whole entire investigation, like, it would, I mean, the episode would be long, 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 too long
Mhm.
type thing. So I don't think people realize how much goes into, like, the story itself. We had to shoot all that B-roll,
Yeah.
when you're telling the story, and having to get those props and shoot those scenes. And we have some interesting stories with those props.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing, it is a two-person team and going
yeah,
in and there's a lot of other investigators, that are content creators that go in and, put episodes together and, they have their own stories and own challenges and struggles.
right.
But to try to put out one of the things that I'm probably the most proud of with all of this is going in and taking a two-person team and coming up with what looks like a larger scale production,
Yeah,
essentially by, because when you have, when the TV shows are there, they've got days that they're there at these locations.
right.
In
And a
some
crew of like
instances
20, 30
yeah.
people.
And so in some instances, you're a group of, we're just there for a few hours, like with the mausoleum, we were here a few hours over the course of a couple days. And out of other places, you're just there maybe 12 hours and you got to go in some places even just there 6 or 8, and you've got to go in, you've got to get your b-roll, you've got to get all your
Hmm.
different shots, and then you've got to focus on the investigation. um that's one of those things that's, sometimes you just don't realize how much goes into it, and then the putting together the evidence and trying to get it down to, we had decided 20 to 40 minutes because
Hmm.
that way we could make sure that, it was still fairly short,
Yeah,
so that it would still keep people's attention, but also long enough so that you could go in and still tell the story,
right.
and it makes sense, you know?
One logic that I've lived by and I learned in theater arts in high school is when I asked about a project to my teacher, Mr. Alciona, he told me that it needs to be long enough to cover everything. It needs to be like a lady's skirt. It needs to be long
Yes.
enough to cover everything, but short enough to still be interesting. So
Yes.
I try to apply that to everything I do, where you don't have so much dead space. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like people lose interest within a certain amount of time,
Mhm.
and you have to be able to hold that interest. So you have to cut out the things that are, if you're like at these investigations, there may be like a good 10 minutes where the ghosts are just like, not talking to you,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, well, now I have something to say, and
Mhm.
if you sit there for that 10 minutes, like, you would lose people's interest. So
Mhm.
the editing, and then also, going into the story, and like, there's a lot that goes into making a show, and
Mhm.
to the level that we're trying to make it to, and this was our first project where it was a learning process, that's for sure, with the editing side of things, as well as I mean, the research that we did. There was
Mhm.
like, we would work our normal business hours at work, and then we would get together at around 6 o'clock that evening, and we would work sometimes at 2. I remember one time 6 in the morning, and go into work. We
Yeah.
slept like 2 hours and then went into work. Uh, but and we went to the oh, what is it called? The archives here,
Yes.
and did a
Because
lot
they
of
were only open
research.
certain days.
Right, and we'd go in there and we'd spend hours in there researching the monk,
Mhm.
and researching
The
tall
Cragmiles
the
family
the
and
yeah, I don't know why I said tall Betsy. We did that one too,
yeah.
but it wasn't. Yeah, uh, the Craig Miles, like, and that's where we found the information about the Titanic. You know, like
Mhm.
who would ever think like that?
Mhm.
Or what was it? The thing that goes over the coffin that her butt her
Oh, the bust.
the bust, yeah,
Yeah.
was on the Titanic. Like they ordered it from over there, and then like it didn't make it because it went into the ocean
Yeah.
with the Titanic. So that's interesting.
I mean, there was a lot of, I mean, a lot of time that went in, and I just keep thinking of all the times that we recorded, and either the audio would be bad, and it was always, on the story because were relying on the recorders, for the
Yeah.
investigation. But, luckily that first season, we were close enough. We had done local locations,
Hmm.
and was able to, if we had to go back and reshoot
Film. Yeah.
something, we did. When when I think of this episode, so this one, I love the story of episode 2, and
Yeah.
for multiple reasons. One, Charleston, Tennessee just has that vibe to it.
Hmm.
But this is a well-known story, and actually, I've got uh, the book the book right here where the
Oh,
story
okay.
came from.
Yeah.
And, so, 13, Tennessee Ghosts and Jeffrey, but, it talks about that monk story, and I've been approached by many different people in the Southeast region who has heard of this story. They grew up hearing of it. So to be able to go to Charleston and not only investigate the, train wreck site, but to also be able to investigate the alleged tub. I
Yeah.
mean, that was I love that it was a two-part investigation like that.
Yeah.
And, a couple kind of funny stories, from this was that, we had been filming, so we were filming multiple investigations at one time, and we'd been filming the Crag Miles Mausoleum first,
Hmm.
and so we were going back, we had done the investigation, I think we had already done the story at this point. We were going
Yeah.
because the legend is that when it rains, it looks like it's bleeding,
Right.
and
And we couldn't get
so
any rain before then. Like we
no.
were waiting on it.
So it was a day, it was a downpour, and it was such a downpour that, we had this beautiful rainbow that I remember standing
Hmm.
there on the porch of the mausoleum, and as the sun was kinda coming out after the pouring rain, and we saw this beautiful rainbow, and so we got that captured, and I remember we broke at that point because it was starting to get dark, at that it was daylight, starting to get dark. I went back to my house, you went back to yours, and I was cooking dinner, and there was this other cold, rain front that had come through, and so it was
Uh-huh.
raining that night, and so if you follow the story about the, Phantom Monk, the train wreck took place, right there at that,
That
crash
crawl
site.
that Yep, right there.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep, and the thought is behind it that or one of the legends is that where it happened during the rain, if you go back there when it's raining, you'll either see a phantom train or you'll see a phantom monk there
Yep.
on the train tracks. And so I remember I had just got settled down from us filming the mausoleum there, and you call me up and you're like, "It's raining. You wanna go investigate there at the train wreck site?" And it's like, "Yep." So
Yep. And we
so
did, and we
yeah.
went there. It was, I think it was late, when we went and did the investigation, and we had that cop show up,
Yeah, so we
you
had
know?
pulled off, and, we pulled off there, and we had these, uh, like, rain ponchos or something.
Right.
And so I'm putting my poncho on because 'cause you're wanting to protect the camera, and I'm wanting to protect my paranormal tools. And so, we're throwing our ponchos on, and we're sitting there, and there's this car. The road that I was walking down during this story was the road that he was coming down, and he was going so slow. And, it's like, "What is this person doing?" You
Yeah.
know? And, next thing I know, he comes up on us, and of course it's a cop, and he pulls in and, "What are you guys doing?" And I remember I was like, what did I say? I said something like, "Nothing, we're
Y-
just going down the road," or something
Yeah,
like that.
and I was like,
And I'm sitting there, he's like, "You're going down the road," and I was like, "Yeah, we're just going down the road there, but I had to put my poncho on," and he's like, "Why are you going down?" I'm such a horrible liar, and he's like, "Why are you putting your poncho on just to go down the road?" And you're like, "Listen, we're ghost hunting." Well,
yeah,
actually, you were like, "Listen, have you
we're
ever
not gonna
heard
lie,
of,
we're just ghost, but yeah,
you ever heard of the Phantom Monk?"
yeah, that's right. Like we're ghost hunting, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and he's cool with it at that point. Yeah, if y'all need anything, if you know,
That was pretty funny because I was like, if in doubt, always go with the truth."
yeah,
Just 'cause, you know, but, um but yeah, and then the other time, so we went there on 2 different nights, and then the other time we went and tried to go, there was a trucker that was pulled off on the side of the road in his big rig sleeping in the back,
hmm,
and we weren't able to do the audio with it because,
it's too
all you could
loud,
hear was
it's
just this.
corrupting. Yeah,
Yeah, um, but, um but this one was a lot of fun to be able to do just for that purpose because there were so many different layers to it, and then it ended up leading to, what essentially sorta overtook the season, which would have been the Sunset Hill House, and,
yeah,
that's a whole another topic, I guess, for another day, but, um, I think this one really set the scene for that, and I think that's one of the reasons that I really like this one because I've spoke about it at several different conventions, especially in working with Leon and everything, to talk about how it started with a local legend and
hmm,
really transitioned into a story about what was going on at this home and about this haunted object. It really became more about that. And the monk story kind of fell into place as part of that story, but it wasn't the whole at that point.
yeah. Well, what's crazy about it is Nina was killed by a train.
Yeah.
And that's what led us into, the monk because, he was killed by he died on the train,
Mhm,
as well, and it's just up the road. It's like the next town over type thing,
mhm,
so it's not far. So that's really what got us into that, and then it's like every single thing was leading us into the next, like
mhm.
so that's what got us into that, and then from the tub into the house, so it's like that whole season was nothing but, like, connections after connections,
Mhm.
you know?
And that's why I like when, and that's why the theme for, season 4 with the haunted homes and then doing the
Yeah,
themes for, the haunted jails, that's why I
yeah,
really like that because 'cause you're able to kinda carry it all together. Nothing flowed as smoothly as this 1st season with, like you said, with Nina and the train and the monk and all of that, and then leading into the house, but,
yeah,
that's why I like to do that because if you can tie them all together, then, it just makes for a smoother flow and makes it easy to know, what order to put your episodes and such in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, it's crazy that it just kinda happened that way, It wasn't really like I mean, we didn't really expect the house to be, active like that. It
no.
was it was more about that tub, and
Yeah.
then it was like things were happening downstairs, but then it was like and then the monk in the window that we saw, the image of the monk.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But things were happening downstairs, but things were also happening upstairs.
Mhm.
That's what was crazy. Like in the first episode, I heard the voices with Nina. I heard
Mhm.
all that. But in the second episode where we're around that tub, like I had never felt it surround me the way that it surrounded me. The ghost, like it just felt like the room, like they were like it was surrounding us everywhere. And I
The
remember being
yeah.
scared.
Well, that house, people often ask, is there a location that I've ever been scared at? And I typically don't get scared. That house made me uneasy. And you can see
Mhm.
there because I'm I'm drinking my trigger object. And so we had that wine as the in the intro. just kind of, a tub, a glass of wine, that sort of thing. We also had it as a trigger item for the monk. But as all of this was going on, and of course, here's where you were talking about with the face in the window.
Yeah.
And this was just B-roll because that person was like walking across, was walking the road there, and that's what caught my eye was that
Uh-huh.
person who was walking, and we weren't even gonna go back and review this footage because we knew it was bad footage
Right. But
because
I'm
we were
glad
just
we did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, always go back and look at your footage, and that things do happen when you're not actively investigating. Because this was a bad take
Yeah.
right here, and, yeah.
Right. And look at that. The face right there.
Oh,
That's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, definitely go back and look at your evidence. Um, I'm not gonna really get into the house very much because that's, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes about some interesting things that we've got going on with that.
Yeah.
But, let's see here. Whoops. Bear with me one second. Season 2, I kinda wanna talk briefly about, uh this episode, for
Oh
several
yeah. That's a
reasons,
good one too.
here. So kinda jumping ahead to season 2. In season 2, we traveled a little bit further, went to Mississippi, went to, Indiana, Tennessee, and yeah, it was Tennessee, Indiana, and Mississippi. And so this episode here, this is episode 2 of season 2, and it's about the Old Southern Funeral Home. And it's kind of timely because Donald Martin and his team, Southern Paranormal, they actually just announced that Old Southern Funeral Home is actually closing. A lot of you have probably seen that post on Facebook. We're going to re-release this episode just because of the timeliness of it, but it's been sold. The building's been sold, and so this right here was mine and your first investigation that we actually traveled,
Yeah.
traveled to. Now, so, the intro, the photos, this episode, was all shot there in, is it Fort Hill?
Yeah, Fort Hill Cemetery.
Yeah, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful cemetery in Cleveland, but go there during the day. Um,
Yeah. It's up on this huge hill. Yeah.
It's got a Civil War history to it. Filming this intro was interesting for several reasons. One, because the first couple times we tried to film it, the noise from the crickets and cicadas and everything was
Mhm.
so loud. And we tried to film during the golden hour. I think that was filmed that day. But it
Yeah.
was too loud to be able to film the story. And so we had to go back at night. And
Right.
then we started having issues going back at night because, when we went the first time, and of course we'd filmed bike shots and we'd filmed a lot of motorcycle shots and stuff there, but being just the 2 of us, we're there, you've got a big bright light in my face and a camera. I
Right.
can't see around you. You're focused on the camera screen and focused on me, so you're not seeing around. We had some kinda interesting things happen then.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. Uh, so we had some. So we didn't get the film. This scene right here, and during the golden hour because, like
Mhm,
you said, the crickets and all that. But we went back to film, and we were having issues with getting the audio.
mhm.
Uh,
I couldn't get the
yeah,
recorder to work.
yeah. So we went back to the truck, didn't we? We went back to my.
Yeah, we went back to your truck, and, as I was sitting there trying to get the audio, this car drives by and,
Yeah,
like, very slow, and so I'm sitting there fiddling with the audio, and they were watching us, and so you kinda have to there's quite a few roads there in the cemetery, and
yeah.
so they just
Dark. There's no lights. Like there's no
no.
lights in that cemetery. It's just dark. And The side that we like to record on are very, very old graves,
Mhm.
so it's a little sketchy over there anyway. A lot of I mean, there's some of it's grown up, and,
Mhm.
but we like them tall, gravestones, so that's the area that we were in, is in the sketchy part because that we liked the location of it,
Mhm.
and that
And s
car, yeah.
yeah, and so I happened to look down, and I never saw the car leave the cemetery. And
Mhm.
so, we were getting ready we got the recorder to work, and we were getting ready to get out, and I said, I just don't feel right." And I said, "I didn't see that car leave because I should have seen it circle around and go on out." And it didn't. And
No, it
so,
didn't.
I said, I don't wanna get out there, start filming and all this. So, we get in the car, and we decided we'd come back at another time, and I
Yeah.
think it was what, about 2 in the morning? 1:30,
Yeah,
2 in the
it
morning?
was like 2. Yeah, it was closer to because the crickets had died down at that point. We didn't have to
Mhm,
worry about that. It was just more of like and we're trying to get these final touches up, because we're getting very close to,
mhm,
the series releasing,
mhm,
the season releasing, and we were getting close, so we were on a tight deadline. We needed to get this done.
mhm.
So, yeah, we had tried that first time and the second time and everything, but yeah, the car just disappeared, and
Yeah.
we got in, and you said, "Well, we need to go on." Like, what did you say? I'm trying to remember. It was
Yeah, I
like,
said, "Let's go the way they came out and see where
yeah,
they're at, and if they're gone, then we'll go ahead and film." But as we
yeah,
go down, they had parked the car over in the bushes. They had pulled it
yeah,
off into the bushes, and as we went around the corner, as we're coming by their car, they get out of their car. So we hightailed it out of there, and it's actually a good thing we did because, it was the next day
mhm.
we ended up finding out there was a bunch of news reports, and that was when that
We
truck had been found
we
just
heard about it at work while we were at work the next morning.
yeah. They had found a truck just over the hillside there from the cemetery, and, there was a man's body in it. He had been burned,
They burned
and
all his tattoos off. Yeah,
yeah, they had burned his tattoos off, and they ended up
teeth out,
finding
all that, I believe.
the any kind of identifiable features, and then,
Mhm.
there was a woman that was in there, and,
His girlfriend. Yeah,
they had actually decapitated her, and so or somebody, not they,
yeah.
but somebody had
Well,
decapitated her.
somebody, yeah, had de blah, 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 decapitated her,
Mhm.
and they weren't able to find her head for, like,
Yeah, it was a couple weeks,
2
and they
weeks.
found it they found it in, a neighborhood not too far from there.
Yeah.
So,
She was hanging in but she was hang her body was found in the cemetery that we were at,
yeah.
which is just
So,
crazy because it's like,
just down over the hill from where we were filming.
yeah. I mean, but that goes to show, like, me being, you know, God had his hand on us, there's
Mhm,
no doubt about it. Like, he was watching over us that night because, that could have easily been you didn't have your gun with you, that
mhm,
night. I think it was in your backpack, and it was a quick, "We gotta go and get this shot."
mhm.
So you didn't take it, and, I mean, since then, I've learned my lesson. I've got me a gun now too, Uh, but, no,
You do have
I
to be careful. I mean, I don't
you
know
do,
if
you
those
do.
people were related to what happened. It's just weird that I'm just glad nobody thought we were related to what happened,
Oh, I know,
being in the
right?
cemetery
Right. But
that
we had the
night.
footage.
Yeah.
We have footage to back us up that what we were doing there, for sure.
Mm,
But if you remember when we I don't know if you said this or not, but when we were driving out, the passenger door opened on that vehicle,
yeah.
and then the driver's side, the guy got out, you
Mhm.
know, and we're
So,
like,
I don't know
"Oh,
if they thought we were somebody else and they were or if they were meeting
uh,
somebody. I'm not
right,
really sure what was going on, but regardless, crisis averted, and,
right."
glad that,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just interesting to
It's
kinda show
sad, but
how, yeah, the stuff kind of happened around everything.
well, that
With
same week, they found that body, like, just down from the graveyard, there is a creek that runs, and
mhm,
there's, like, this service station or they do tires and stuff like that, and in that ditch area where the creek is, they found another body the same week, that
Mhm.
all that happened. And then in the same week, there was a young lady that was shot over here, but actually where I live now. But there was a young lady that was shot over here too, and it was just a week of like we were just hearing about death after death, and it was like
Mhm.
it was kind of freaky because we're sitting here trying to finish our season, and all these events like that week, Cleveland was named the most dangerous city in the world. Like that week because there were so many that happened in just that week,
I
and
guess
it
for
wasn't.
the per capita size of people, it was bad.
Yeah,
They, again, it just goes to show you've gotta be careful when you're doing that stuff, and you gotta think about it because, you're trying to get those shots filmed and,
exactly. Your
uh
mind's other places. You're not thinking about the dangers, and yeah,
and you
for
can't
sure.
you couldn't we couldn't film for the crickets, so we couldn't go earlier, but
Right.
and then also, you gotta let things kinda die down with town and stuff, so, um, definitely an interest. And it's kinda funny, I always think about that because I get kinda tense and uptight until the filming is done,
Yeah.
and because once the filming's done, then it's the editing and, it's kind of like, "Ah, okay,"
Yeah, we got
at
all the
least
shots, now it's just the putting it together,
just
yeah,
put it together at that point, and just to think of what, some of the things had to do with with that specific episode,
yeah,
and filming there. Now, we did film in the cemetery, after that, but we made sure it's kind of interesting. We did the big event with, Alan Jones and with Tall Betsy. That was our
mhm,
next and that was during this season. So that was only, about 3 weeks after they found the body, and so we
yeah,
actually he wanted to do that live at the Tall Betsy tombs, mausoleum there, and I said, I would like to have an off-duty officer or something that can kind of be there on the perimeter when we do this live because we
well,
had
we're
over
doing it live,
we had
and
over 500 people that watched that live at the moment because he really
also
broadcasted out there,
we had
and they were trying
people
to
that
show
were
up.
saying that they were gonna show up, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, "Well, this ain't like a live event for you to come to, like, watch it on your computer at home,"
Right?
but, yeah, yeah, I
So
remember
we actually
people.
had the
But the reason why
cemetery.
we had the call-up is really because of the events that
Mhm.
conspired just a few weeks before, and
Yeah.
for our safety, for sure.
Mhm. And he was super cool about that, and,
Yeah,
even said, if we were gonna be filming or anything, which we never did do any more filming in there, but, said if we were ever gonna do any filming in there just to let him know in advance, and
yeah,
he would take his lunch and kinda
yeah,
hang out up there.
yeah. I think when we went back to film the footage that we actually see in episode 2, where it's talking about the story and all that in the
Mhm.
graveyard, I believe at that point we had Crisco with us, so there are 3 of us,
Was she
and
there that night? I think she
yeah.
was that night. She
She
was there that
was.
night.
She
Yeah.
was that night, and she had her gun, you had your gun, and I still needed to get mine. But y'all had your guns, and, we were armed and ready if we had to be. But no,
But
while we were filming and doing our thing, she was on the lookout, making sure that nobody was trying to sneak up on us or anything like that,
that's right,
so
she did
we were
do that.
definitely grateful for that, because there was a lot of dangerous things going on in that time period, so
We had
yeah,
2 stories to film at that point. We had the cemetery, and we specifically waited, I think it was, like, to a week before the episode was supposed to release, till she was in town,
yeah,
and we had the story of, where we were wrapping up the, season finale of season 2, which was the, exorcism of the house.
Sunset Hill House,
And
yeah.
yeah, and then also kind of the wrap up of everything that was going on, and we went ahead and filmed that because we filmed that in the alleyway downtown and then
Yeah,
waited till she was in town and,
to be able to tackle that one. Yeah,
yeah, wrap that
yeah,
up at the last minute.
yeah. Because I mean, in the alley downtown, at least we can scream. We like have somebody come to rescue, maybe.
But this episode here, this one was really cool because one, it like I said, it was our first trip that we actually traveled any distance to and spent the night in. And it was so freaking cold too
Oh my
down
gosh,
there.
it was.
They didn't have the heat turn on, and Donald still tells me today, he was like, "I don't know why I didn't turn the heat on for you guys." And
They
it's like,
had
"There was
heat.
heat?"
There was heat.
I'm
Yeah.
standing here. I brought that dress to do a mock funeral, and I'm standing here in this. I mean, there's no sleeves on there, trying to not freeze my butt off because it was like 28 degrees that night,
Right.
and
Right.
we were trying to fly the drone. It was too cold to fly the drone, so we weren't able to do that. And then
Well, was that like February? I think that was
it was
February,
February.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I was invited to be the first team to investigate that location,
That's
and,
right. And
other
it didn't
than home
disappoint.
team, it
Yeah.
didn't. No. And I went back the next year, and I actually stayed there by myself, and that place was just creepy.
Yeah.
It was fun to stay there by myself, but it was creepy, and, of course, they had done a lot of different changes. They had actually gone in and they had a casket in there, not the small caskets like they had in the little side
The
rooms.
little baby ones, yeah.
Yep, they had a big casket. They also had,
Ooh.
pews sitting there, and,
Oh.
yeah, so it was completely fixed up. When you and I were there, there was,
Well, they
not
haven't
much.
even, yeah, like you said, they hadn't even opened it to the public, It
Mm-mm.
was just, that we were definitely the first ones, and honestly, I'm really glad that we got to spend some time
Yeah, with Doyle,
with
and
Dole.
yeah,
And
yeah,
honestly, that was my last time getting to be with Dole. Actually, my
yeah,
first and last time meeting him, really.
yeah, and
He was
just
such a
such a
sweet soul.
yeah, and a big loss to the paranormal community.
Yeah, big
Um,
heart.
yeah. He was so tickled we were there, and, tickled about sharing, the location, and so, yeah, we spent the next day, because we did have to get back because we had, like, a 7-hour drive,
Mhm.
and,
We
y
drove down that night. We
yeah,
did
well, we
that night.
worked, and then drove down,
Worked. We did.
left about
And
3 o'clock.
yep, left at 3 o'clock, got down there. Yeah, we had to go shoot some shots downtown. I think that
Uh-huh,
was the first thing well, we actually went to the funeral home. We met up with
yeah,
them. We got our stuff set up, and then uh, went ahead and went downtown and shot our shots for those things, and then come back and did the investigation.
mhm.
And I mean, as many of y'all know, Miranda likes to sleep in haunted places, right? Right. So I had never slept in a haunted location, and this was my first night staying over. But I'm like, okay, if Miranda can do it, then I can do it, right? So, but I mean, it's I mean, those that haven't seen the episode, you need to definitely watch it. But it's
This
mind
was
blowing because
weird. This one was weird because, there were conversations going on. So, I thought there were 2 incredible catches, I thought. One of them was now, you can see the words going across the screen there.
yeah,
There
is
was
this? Are we? Yeah, we're sleeping
we're
then.
sleeping, and there was, somebody having there was 2 people having a conversation in the hallway. We were in one of the small
Yes,
chapels,
yeah.
and while we were sleeping, we caught what was the elevator going up to the embalming room, and they had never used it.
Like it, yeah. It. I mean, if you go on this episode and watch it, you'll hear it. Like, and of course we're asleep. We're not hearing it. But all
Mhm,
this stuff is going, and you're hearing like it's really creepy going back and listening and
mhm.
watching
I
after, like
don't even
when
see
you're
you
asleep over
laying on the
there.
couch. I guess your
I don't
blanket
either. I was cold and I was covering up.
you were in the fetal position on the couch.
It was cold, like, yeah, but,
But I went into such a deep sleep.
I did too,
Yeah.
and that's what's weird about it. Like we went to a deep sleep till we were really awakened,
Yeah.
But all this stuff going on, and you hear them talking about us, like actually being like they're having a conversation about us being asleep in there, and
Mhm.
that's freaky,
Asking
like
if we were okay and
if we're okay, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
girl, I just watched that scene and saw your foot go up. It's kind of freaked me out a minute. I was like, whoa, somebody pulled the. I didn't never notice they pulled the blanket like that.
No, it was um, yeah, so I'm trying to remember what time we laid down. I mean, because we investigated the better part of the night, and, I mean, I feel like it was, like, 4 or 5 o'clock when we laid
Yeah,
down. I mean, it was okay, so that would have been when we heard that loud bang. I was so
right.
far asleep or so much asleep that I was
You were
just
talking like kind of out of.
I was talking out of my head, really. Um, because when it banged, because when it hit the floor, it hit and then fell forward, and for some reason, I was
Yeah,
like, "What is that?" Was that you echoing?
right.
And
That you echo. I remember that. I was like, echo.
yeah. Yeah, so it was
You're even laughing. I think that's where I say echo, and you're like laughing about it there.
yeah, I was out of it,
We were tired. We had a
but
long drive and a long investigation that night.
but it was cold because I slept not only in my clothes, but in my coat.
I did too. Yeah, it was really cold. But for that picture to fall out of the wall like that, like, uh, it being like a screw in the wall and, like and the
Well,
picture was
yeah, I mean,
you
it
know?
never the screw stayed. I mean, it never
Right.
pulled it down. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was shocking because I didn't know what it was that had fallen. Um, so that was really cool. And it's interesting because they didn't
I
put that picture back up until till just before we came back a year later.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow. But you know what? I think I'm pretty sure that we actually have the footage from the static cam that shows it falling, you know?
Yeah, it shows
I
it
think it's in
here.
the episode, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But that's like and the string on the back that's holding that the screw's holding, look, see, there's the screw,
Mhm.
not even touched. I mean, it's good. And then like that uh wire, Lord, sorry, I'm getting a little tired. But I mean, it wasn't broke or anything like that for it to
Mm-mm.
fall. It had to be a force to push
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
that's so crazy.
But I didn't see anything else afterward, like, eh, I was hoping that I would see something maybe like, a shadow figure or some type of
Yeah.
movement, but I couldn't see anything. Now when you do look at it zoomed in and up close, you can almost see it almost like it lifts itself and
Yeah,
falls.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that
Um,
we experienced in during those two seasons is just like, well, I mean, you've experienced a lot of that stuff, but I hadn't. Like, and it was definitely it. You, I can't be like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts because I know for a fact that they do exist, and the things that took place, while filming this show. If you're not a
mhm,
believer, you definitely will be by the time it's done and said. I mean, said and done. When you're there and you're seeing it all, and even whenever we're editing the video and we're pulling in the, from the raw files and all that, and hearing it, like, and then hearing it in person, and then being able to catch it, like
mhm.
it's just,
Let's see here.
crazy.
Trying to find the, um
Yeah,
so we were
28
gonna show
degree.
the behind the scenes. Yeah. Let's see here. Well, Sorry, bear with
Oh,
me
you're
just
good.
a
No,
moment.
you're
I'm
good. Which one
trying
are
to
you
find
looking for?
I was trying to find the behind the scenes stuff. We were gonna show that right quick, and,
yeah,
let's see here.
there's that
Must be in a
nun.
different yeah.
That's a good video. It's funny.
Must be behind,
So when we worked together, like Miranda would always win like the best costume for Halloween. Like she always came in with like the best outfits and everything. So, the nun one year, and then she dressed as the twins. There was another girl that we worked with that they favored, and they dressed as the twins from The Shining, and it was really good. Like they looked the part. They did really good, and they won. They
we
won.
did. We actually ended up winning the, at the block party here.
Really? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
You won with the nun too, though,
I did.
didn't you?
I
Like you
did.
won. Yeah. See, she just knows how to do them outfits. So that actually, well, we'll wait. We'll wait.
Let's see here. Why am I not ah, there it is. So whoops. So just kinda show a little fun, little fun video here. Let me,
Oh, I know what this
see
is.
if I can
Yeah.
pull this up. There we go.
Yeah, just a little behind the scenes of some of the, I mean, yeah, we're serious and stuff when we're filming this stuff, but yeah, when you're filming,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of unexpected things that happen.
Yeah, so we put essentially a blooper reel together from the first season. I need to go back and do the second because I laugh on that, the video where we just showed the cemetery because there's one footage, I don't know what you were filming, but I was walking to my bike and you just see me in the background. You weren't even filming me, and I fall all over the hillside. Um,
Yeah,
but,
I ran across some. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, I need to put together from the other seasons, but we'll go ahead.
Yeah, I ran across some. So I was cleaning up my phone the other day, and uh, well, I was cleaning up my phone, so I was putting stuff on the external hard drive, and I ran across some videos on the external from where, like where we were filming season 2, and there's some funny stuff on there that I was like, oh, I forgot about this. Like, so yeah, when you go put that together, let me know.
Yes, for sure. All right, I'll go ahead and. This is exciting, and I hope that you all will tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on Halloween. Oh my
That dang gimbal
Every
always.
town has a ghost story that's been passed down.
Always
Battery
would go dead
dying.
up there.
Oh.
Yeah. I hated that thing. It started getting so bad at the
But
end
what if
of its
those
life.
legends are true? My job is to travel to these destinations, explore them, and figure out the mystery that lies within.
The hand, though, falling. Yeah. Hair flip.
I don't know why that sound went out.
See? Dang gimbal. Well, that was my bad.
Never made it because.
Yeah, you know why.
Yeah.
And we all know why it never made it.
Yeah. Okay. Another interesting fact about this family's tragic history is they actually had a bust of Nina made that's supposed to go in this little alcove in the church called Nina's niche. Well, the bust never made it because it was shipped on the Titanic. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Oh, that was good though. I think keeping
Can we
the laughing
cut that?
in there.
I think I was probably drinking.
We were so giggly that night.
It's hard to tell a serious story. Many people were killed, many were drowned, and several were swept away. There were no hospitals. Oh, had that. Yep. Prop his foot on the. Yeah, you just have to. Oh God. Another interesting fact. Another hilarious fact. I laugh in inappropriate situations.
That dang wig shop is still down there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Another interesting fact about this family's tragic history is that the grieving family. I can't believe I busted into laughing.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
So now we got to talk about the rumor. Were killed, many were drowned.
Guess my light went dead.
Followed a bug.
Yeah, they were so bad. It was right there by the river.
Many were killed. Nina's grieving father, John, built this church and mausoleum 3 years on the anniversary of her death to honor her.
Good. Just a little bit more confident.
A little more confident. I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
Ready?
That dang gate.
Yes, every time. Can't walk through anywhere. And you're trying to be discreet too.
Yeah.
Something's touching my leg. You need to slow your roll, man.
I got scared.
Got a little scared there.
Scared. No, I was just trying to like get out of there. I thought it was behind me. I was like, oh heck no.
I hate things behind me, you
I'm
know?
going down, y'all gonna watch me.
That was such an intense moment too.
Yeah.
Okay, oh Lord. I heard that and I thought, I was like, oh my God, it is making some racket now. Oh, look, there's
Take a big old draw of that cigarette. Now, if you were a smoker, you know how expensive those are. Don't waste it.
People were able to come and identify the bodies. I'm not even drunk.
She had to have a little.
I had to have a little drink for confidence.
Yeah, a little confidence booster there at the first seasons. Or the first season.
Hey.
Oh, sugar.
Sugar. I will use a speaker with it, but it gives the entities the energy to be able to communicate through this device.
that was good. Stay down.
Sugar, I'm gonna swat you on the butt. Sugar, lay down. Lay down now. Lay down. Good girl. Sugar, lay. Every time.
Every time we'd have it.
Ah,
Yeah.
looks so mean.
No, you're just being a mama.
It was a late night, so we had to actually. I went and got her. She's digging, so she's.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of funny because we had a focus group at work, and we were there till late, and so we filmed this very late.
That's right. We were there.
And so I had to go get Sugar, bring her to your house. It's got 6 shelves in it.
That's right. I remember that.
What are you doing?
My hair was like. So maybe that adds a grief factor, like a transition, like
everywhere downtown.
Okay. We had to create our own props. This is the speaking role you wanted. This is your big break for our story. You gotta do.
Right.
Relax and be you. Okay. So Had to make it
Yeah,
look
we
like a
had to get
dead
those.
body.
Yeah, with
Of
all the pictures. Forgot about.
Jeez.
Oh, it's funny. It's great.
Oh, such a dork. Oh, such a dork. Whoops. Here we go.
Good times.
Yeah, yeah. So, let's see here. So, yes, I completely agree with you, Dee Dee. Nothing wrong with wine when it can double as a trigger item and also help to boost your confidence. Nothing wrong with that. And then Janet asked, she says, did sugar ever accompany me on any investigations? She didn't. However, she did. I did start experiencing a few things at my house, and so I've caught a few things on camera that kind of was messing with her a little bit. And of course, I draw the line where when it starts messing with my babies. But
Yeah.
no, she never did go. She had bad separation anxiety, and at the time she was, gosh, she was 16. So
Yeah.
yeah. So so at that time she actually ended up there at the second season. She actually ended up passing away just before the second season. So so yeah, she did not get to go, but she probably would have picked up on something had she gone to some of these places.
Yeah. And she definitely would have talked and let you know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's something over here, Mom.
But like I said, you know, I could sit and dive into first and second season even more. I think, you know, I think we need to do this again.
Yeah, for sure. I've enjoyed it and enjoyed everybody joining in with us. Like, thank you all for, being so supportive of
Thank you,
Miranda
Sonia.
and, me as well. We definitely had a great time making, what is now what the show is,
Yeah.
and we got some things planned for the future together. And,
Yeah, we
you
can
know,
kind of tease on that for a few minutes. We'll work on wrapping up the show here in a few minutes here, but you kind of want to elaborate any on any of that? I'm going to pull
okay.
up, turn the volume off here.
No, you're good.
Um,
So one thing that Miranda and I have both been asked quite often is, have we ever thought about making a movie? You know, and so we thought a short film would be the best route to go, since it is something that her and I have never done before. Start out small and see what we get. So, and we were hoping to get something like a short film put together for this Halloween season, but both of us are very much perfectionists, and also we want it to be done right, and we want something to be authentic and feel right and be, you know, our whole heart and soul of what we put into it. So 2023, we are planning to do that short film, and we've the writing process has already started on it, and we've got a little bit more to go and all that with that part of it, but it's getting there, and we're, hopefully it's going to be something that we will be proud of, and hopefully y'all will be proud of as well.
yeah,
And
we will say it is horror.
it is horror, of
Yeah.
course.
Well, what'd you think? A Hallmark romance story?
You think we're going to shoot a Christmas movie? Like, come on. Obviously, you haven't seen what we've already made. No, it's going to be horror. I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. We have a lot of ideas. We're not going to say what, to what extent, because we don't want to put something out there in the universe and it not be able to happen, or put
Mhm.
something out there. And anyways, we have some plans, but we're going to start with that one.
And it's
And
loosely based on
yeah,
true events.
right. No, that's
Yeah.
true. And I think it'll be interesting. And if it does well and performs well, there's so many different avenues we can go with it. Let's
Mhm.
just put it that way.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And then also, other thing, and I'm super excited about this. Let's see, I was trying to pull up. So, we've
thank
had,
goodness.
we didn't really talk a whole lot about the Sunset Hill house, and it was something that was covered. It took up a lot of real estate in season 1 and season 2.
It did, yeah,
And, we were able to get resolution on this home. Um, and I'm satisfied with how that turned out, because
yeah,
I don't think we could have asked for a better ending to something that we were able to actually see from, I guess from conception to the end there. A lot
yeah.
of the time you don't get to capture and see a lot of the process, and we were able to do that. So I am very satisfied with that. But um, we've been kind of talking about this, and ironically, when we started talking about it, we did have a couple folks reach out to me who had rented this home back when it was a rental home. And so, of course, I don't want to say too much, but we were in the process of working on turning, because I think this took what, this took up about 6 episodes, right? From season
I
1 and
believe
season 2.
so.
So you could
I
almost
mean,
have an entire season on it.
I mean, you're right. You really could. So that
So
goes into
yeah, so we are in the process of turning the story of the Sunset Hill House into a documentary, and really kind of going in talking a little bit about, I mean, because we have a ton of behind the scenes,
well,
it's not even really behind the scenes
well,
footage, it's
footage that wasn't even released.
unreleased.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unreleased footage. Uh, New revelations that have been revealed after shooting this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, from let's just say previous people that rented the property have
Mm-hmm.
come out and told us some things, and there's some new information on this house that I think that people would really like to know.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if you really think about it, this particular house is, I guess, the heartbeat of what made Ghostbuster.
Mm-hmm.
It is really like, I mean, the other episodes, not get don't get me wrong, like the
Mm-hmm.
other episodes are all great and everything, but this is the one that has been the most. I mean, it's been in the most
Well, it was all
episodes.
consuming. It
Yeah,
was all consuming for
it
several reasons.
was.
I mean, this house really affected me, in the sense that so, uh, because of the connection that, Josh had with the family there of the house, um, we had the ability, we were going to investigate the alleged tub, but
Mhm.
because we got so much activity at the house, we were able to essentially use this as a research center, and got to do a lot of different experiments. We did the experiment with looking for portals, by setting off the
Yeah.
smoke bombs in the house to see if
Yes.
we could capture anything that could potentially look like a portal, and trying a lot of different techniques. I mean, we could essentially go about any time we wanted to, and the
Mhm.
house changed me in the sense that, it became an obsession, and,
Yeah.
it was all I could think about, and wanting to get some kind of resolution, because it was such odd activity, and it really became familiar, I felt, because, I mean, when I go in, I'm going to introduce myself and I'm going to have conversations and talk to, whoever's in there, be respectful. But I feel like it sort of took advantage of that and became familiar. I mean, it was calling me by name, it was threatening.
It
There
was.
were a couple times, because a lot of the darker locations that I do, I like to investigate, with my friend Tiffany White. And we both started experiencing things outside. I saw the question on up here from Tommy G. I don't know if he's still in the chat room, but ask if I've ever had a hitchhiker. I don't feel like anything ever followed me home from this location, but I did start having when I got immersed into this case right here. I did start to feel as though I would come home and I don't smoke, and so I came home and I would smell cigarette smoke in my house,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Tiffany would be in her car, and the night she was driving back from the investigation, she felt like there was somebody in her back seat, with her.
Wow. Yeah.
And then she said for about 2 weeks after, because she works in home health, and she was working at one of the homes, working outside in the garden, and she just continually felt like somebody was hovering over her. Um, so and then this house, again, it was more of a mental sort of thing that it just felt like I was obsessed with it, you
Well,
know?
it was almost like this house. I mean, this house did have multiple spirits,
Mhm,
but there was like one spirit in particular that was controlling of the rest.
mhm.
And it was like as if those spirits were trapped, within this house and they couldn't get out because of this certain one. There was one dominating spirit that really felt demonic, you know?
Mhm.
And
And just, while we're talking about what happened at the cemetery, um, I'll just kinda add on this one. We after we did the live finale and did, or the live season 1 finale,
mhm,
and we were gonna do, a live episode there where, we set up cameras and tried some experiments overnight. It was kind of crazy because we weren't able to go live because we got held up. We were late. We were about, what, 30 minutes late?
yeah,
Um, because of, the stabbing that took place 2 houses, or I mean, 2 streets back, 2
2
streets
streets
over.
back. It
Yeah.
was yeah, the stabbing that took place, which
Mhm.
is and what's crazy though, like, that wasn't too long after all the other events that took place,
Mhm.
here.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So, um and it's not, I mean, it's not a rough neighborhood, it's not a rough, I mean, it's probably is a little bit rougher than some of the areas, but, the places we were filming stuff is not a rough area,
Yeah,
but we were tied up, so we weren't able to get to that house, and then when we found out what was going on and we were in the house, because I think your grandmother called because she had heard what had happened over the scanner or something like that.
oh, yeah,
And the
she listens to that scanner.
Yeah, and then there was or somebody called, and then there was, police presence there, as we were trying to get to the house.
Yeah,
But we did end up going live, and but it just changed the vibe and the mood, and, um, it was kinda wild. This house,
that live was I mean, that like, it was so active that night, like,
Mhm.
and people getting to actually experience it in real time with us,
Yeah.
that's what's crazy. And then didn't the camera die? And people
Yeah.
were freaking out thinking that we, like, had gotten straight up killed or something, like, but, we had like, the camera died, so, I mean, we couldn't really yeah,
Yeah,
and
we had a this house was very significant, we'll put it that way, and,
yeah,
like I said, I couldn't have asked for a better ending with this house because, the family that's renting it now, from my understanding, I mean, they're great, and
yeah,
the house is great.
Yeah, no
Um,
activity, nothing like that, you know, so,
yeah.
uh, yeah. But there's so much that has come out after these episodes are released with different experiences from, different ones that have lived there previously, and hearing those stories, like, it really like, when they tell you certain things and you're like, "Oh my god, I know exactly what you're talking about because I felt that," or,
Mhm.
"Yes," like, there was the one person in particular was talking about the attic and how just it felt like
Yeah.
it lived and hovered up there, and we felt the same exact way,
Mhm.
so for to hear it from an outsider that, after experiencing all this is just, it adds a whole new perspective of certain things. But we don't want to get too much into detail with that because, we, this is a project that we're planning and all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff is going to be revealed hopefully. And everything works out, that'll be releasing in 2023 as well. So,
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, it's essentially going and combing through all the footage, because we do
yeah.
have I mean, again, this was, what, a year and a half, essentially, of
Hmm.
footage
Yeah.
of just going, maybe spending an hour here and there, over there doing different experiments, the lives that we did, the actual episodes. So we'll end up taking the episodes that we have where we were introduced to the house, or I
Hmm.
was introduced to the house, and then going into the resolution. We're probably not gonna change too much when it comes to um, or not change, but show too much when it comes to the resolution of it. When Leon came in and did the, homes of fumigation, um, because we had to be really careful, and that's what, I want Josh to talk more about on the documentary of putting that together because it is a very delicate situation. You can't show all the rituals, you can't show all the steps that go in. We were very honored
Right.
that Leon
We
allowed us to
got to,
film
yeah.
and allowed us to put and we had static cameras setting up too, and we got some weird stuff on the static cameras that we didn't even put out,
Well, I mean, there was
from
so
him.
much. That's the thing. Like, when you're building an episode, like you've got to pick and choose
Mhm.
what you're going to show, or you're going to have a 10-hour episode. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we have a lot of footage that we haven't even shown, and
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of that stuff, after reviewing it and stuff, is like, yeah, we really should have shown it.
Mhm.
And then we have the opportunity, we have the
Yeah.
opportunity to do so, and also have some things that will have a different, maybe even have a different outlook on the way
Yeah.
that you view the episode. So we'll see.
And
Yeah.
what we'll do is, when we know a little bit more about how that's gonna be, because again, Josh is wrapping up projects. He's getting ready to, get in the studio with his music, doing some touring next year. I'm in the process of getting my house, ready to go on the market and remodeling a farmhouse and
Yeah.
moving myself. So we'll know more about dates and that stuff, going into 2023. Also, a little bit more, but it will be a longer. I mean, it'll be a longer documentary, like a not
Yeah.
like a movie necessarily, but it will be longer in length.
Yeah. I mean, it may be the length of a movie.
Yeah,
We'll
I would
see.
say it probably will.
Probably
Yeah.
will be. But the good thing about it is, like, it's something that, even though we have the seasons that have all this stuff, there's going to be so much more that's,
Mhm.
talked about and revealed that it's going to be, it really can stand on its own, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It will essentially be like taking the episodes together into a story, but adding more information. So
Right. Right.
y'all know what a documentary is. So
Yeah. It'll be, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what all happens.
yeah. So
But no, I mean, that's some of the things I know we teased a little bit earlier on. We've been hanging out and taking pictures together and teasing stuff with it, and all that. So we just wanted to give, a little bit of update of where we're at on stuff and letting I mean, Miranda's about to kick off this new season, and everybody needs to tune in. I'm sure it's going to be great, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be great, and hopefully, uh, you got that trailer that you're gonna show in a little
Oh,
bit?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll re-show the trailer. We showed that last week. That's how we'll wrap everything up with the trailer here, and then we will not have the new episode or the new season is gonna drop in it's gonna let me get this. Whoops. Stop this here.
That's next week, ain't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that my channel is not monetized, but YouTube monetizes anyway. I mean, shows ads anyways.
Yeah.
I'll pull that up here in a second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
so the new season is gonna drop this coming Tuesday, and we will not have a traditional Ghost Biker Garage next Thursday, but we will jump back into our behind the screens. I'm working on something just a little special for this coming Thursday night. Hopefully, I can pull it off. Not going to say what it's going to be just yet. We'll get the episode released, and we'll kind of see if I'm able to work out what I'm wanting to do for the behind the screens. Otherwise, it'll just be me sitting here and talking about the first season episode, kind of really breaking things down, breaking about the equipment, the location itself. Come with your questions, come with your comments, criticisms, whatever, and we'll talk about it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, something kind of special for next Thursday night, and then that'll be the case for every Thursday night during the month of October. Yeah, leading up to that spooky season. All right, or leading up to Halloween. It's already in spooky season. So I'm gonna leave you all with this, with the trailer. And let me get that pulled up. All right.
Oh.
It's behind you. Whatever it is behind you.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Can't wait.
So, like we said, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. We went a little bit longer, so thank you for staying with us, all of you, with your
Yes,
comments
thank
and your
y'all.
questions. And this was a lot of fun, Josh. I
Oh
appreciate you
yeah, for
taking
sure.
time. And
No, I had a great time.
have to come back, and we'll have to break down some more episodes and stuff, because I know we got more to talk about. But I just didn't want to dive into the Sunset Hill House, since that's a whole other thing
Right.
in and of itself.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. Like I said, if you guys have ordered a Ghost Biker shirt, those will be coming out. I'll be mailing those out probably either over the weekend or the first part of next week. You'll get a notification when that mails. Also, cool things going on at the jail, www.historicscottcojail.com, to book your escape room experience, your flashlight tour, your guided ghost hunt, or also your our lantern special lantern tours that we're going to be doing with the Oneida High School Drama Club coming up. We'll have that information coming up this week, so stay tuned to the website for all of that. Going to be kicking it in high gear with the Ghost Biker season, so a lot of different podcasts and announcements and stuff that's going to be coming on those sites. So bear with me. Don't get tired of my announcements and all that, because we're kicking it in high gear. So until next week, I hope everyone has a wonderful and blessed week, and we will see you at the season 5 episode premiere on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Take care, everyone.
Awesome. Bye. Thank y'all.